Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to PCM23 Lions, episode 96, as we're just about to end the season. There's still a little bit more racing to do just yet. 4 races left. I think we might get through 3 of them today, so next episode should carry us into the new season, but we have, maybe we'll get 4, Plouay Classic, Quebec, and Montreal Classics. So 3 easy ones that actually we should be able to pick up pretty late on all 3 of them. In all likelihood. But before we get into the racing, a little recap on where we're at and what's happening. First off, yes, he has found a new team. Johannes Stalik will stay in the Peloton next season with Iola Kamate, good Continental Pro team. He'll get some opportunities to race World Tour races, but would he be a leader for them or just glorified domestique? On paper, they're a better team than we are. Therefore, he's going to have guys further up the depth chart than him. He'll get some chances, but I don't know if he's going to get some World Tour chances too often, but you never know. From there, it is an opportunity, at least, that he could grab a win at some point, somewhere or another. Meanwhile, the Vuelta stage winner Daniel Barry of Ireland has picked up Ireland from a 5 to a 6 in popularity now. The 24-year-old climber has an 80 medium mountain. Guarantee that's a breakaway type victory there. It's the first of his career. We've dropped to 33rd in the team index. Not looking good. We're very much down to on the bubble now compared to where we were before, as other teams have really picked up a lot. Reifeson is right on our heels, but then there is actually a bit of a gap to Equipo, Kurt Pharma, and GAD. Human Power Health, the first one off the bubble, is significantly far behind us. There's a healthy gap to that bubble, even though ultimately position-wise we're not far above it. One piece of bad news, though, is that one guy who's not on our team, outside of Johannes Stalik now, that one guy not on our team, Germay with Radstand, re-signed with them, and at the moment they are dropping to Continental Pro, and it's looking pretty likely at this point. It's really just the bubble teams that have much of a chance of something changing, and here's why. Looking at the free agent market, Kevin Vauquelin is the final 5-star rider available. The entire rest of that list has dried up completely, which means there aren't game changers anymore. Vauquelin's literally the last one, and you're down to 4.5 stars now. There's plenty of 4.5 star talent that's still out there, and actually even then that's not that much. That's shorter or as short as the list was that we were looking at for 5-star guys a couple weeks back. So it's going to dry up real quick. The market is just about cleared and done. Very little will change from here. So even though we are not far from the bubble, at this point, it's looking like the market is about done, and it's not going to change more than maybe a position or 2 max the rest of the way from really internal development of riders leveling up, and we are one of the ones who's more likely to see a 3rd 5-star guy than others at this point, as we are young and have guys with potential. But a lot of those best potential guys are still down in that 3.5 star kind of range. Hapton is now a 3.5 star guy where he was 3, so he has leveled up. But it's the 4 and 4.5 kind of star guys, the ones that we got early, that are nearing that point where they're maxed out, and they're just not going to get a whole lot better, which is why the team hasn't changed much in the last season and a half. We've kind of had what we've had, and we're not seeing any major breakthroughs of riders at this point. We'll keep things sped up for a while, but we're at the Plouay Classic. We just went under 100 kilometers to go. It is considered a sprint, but there's a lot of undulation, especially in this final 100 kilometers. And even during the first 140K, it was not an easy race. The breakaway ended up 6 riders, which was more than what the Peloton wanted to allow. But the power, the strength of those 6, the willpower of those 6 was enough that they forced the issue, stayed away, but we're still chasing. We're still chasing hard. Now it's down to a single rider at the front, 2 riders left in between, and that group has been decimated. But as we enter the final 60K of this, the race has very much been on. It's been a challenge. I was riding at a 76 and nearly had riders go out the back while we were chasing in the first 60K. I upped that to a 78. We got a little bit closer, but we were just hanging on. It took an 81 effort just to get the guys anywhere near the front once again. And anytime we hit a little bit of a hill, as we don't have climbers here, it was a real issue, and we were going backwards real fast. So as we enter the final 50K with just a single rider left off the front, presumably we're going to keep working even after we catch them here in a little bit. And if that's the case, this could be a difficult ending. Guys like Havu are quite tired already, but Matt de Villiers does have a +3. So here's to hoping that we can set him up properly today. For one, we're missing one of our lead-out guys from this race. They're not all here. They're not all scheduled for this. We've got 3 classics in kind of a back-to-back nature, so there's a little bit of a mix of rider selection. Ansa is supposed to be the lead-out guy today, but he drew a -3. The next lead-out guy is Kareem. He's got a -5. Hanok has a 76 acceleration, a 70 flat. He would probably be the next guy. He's got a -2. So while we offset some of the negative, we still have a -5 as a team. There's not much fatigue. There's only a couple riders that have a little bit of fatigue at this stage. So I think we did have a -2 expectation, but not this. And it is going to make it challenging here with 32K to go. If the pace lifts a little bit, and it's looking like it has, the guys that are working hard at the front are pretty well exhausted, so the pace isn't as bad. That's going to allow us to recover a little bit, but it's going to allow others to recover as well. So it's kind of a mixture of both good and bad. We want to get through this hill fairly unscathed. Here's the first acceleration. New teams coming in, trying to make it difficult, trying to use the undulation to their advantage. And this is going to start to set us up for the later phase. I think we need to now go ahead and hold position for the next climb and then take it from there. We're going to brief gravel there. Here's the next hill. This is the one after this. We want to start setting things up and getting a move on. We're at 17K to go. It's slightly early, but there's a little downhill in there. And I think maybe at this banner we're going to want to hold on. Well, hello there. Finish line. I'm not sure if Ansa is going to really hang on the whole way, which could be problematic if he's not good to go. We're going to have to keep an eye on him to make sure he's still got something, but Havu does push hard to get us forward, and we're going to keep letting him push for a little bit. You know, it's still 12K, so use a little more energy and save it for others as we're getting our first attack. And that's now time for Hanok to respond. We want to avoid putting too much effort in on the climbs other than the final one. So Havu is done. Hanok has taken over, brought us forward. Mataway and Zingle are off the front, 10K, but they're not far enough away to do anything. But here comes a whole lot of guys that are making a mess. 7K. Ansa just hanging on. Kareem is just hanging on. 6K. Okay, Habdom. Oh, Havu. Okay, Havu goes down. Kareem's not a climber, so he's not going to do too much to hurt Benuna. And we're going to try to get over the top here, 4K. We're going to have to swap this out. Benuna is now going to have to lead out de Villiers himself. Ansa's done. He didn't make it. 3K. 2.4. Haptum is keeping up, and Benuna can't get forward. And de Villiers, we're already swallowed up. We're already in the crowd. We got no chance here. We'll get some points, though. Caleb Ewan takes the win ahead of Moral and Germay. Phillipson, I don't know how they are at every single race. Right? Germay, Phillipson, They're at every single World Tour sprint race. Every one of them. Grand Tours, all like the whole flippin' shebang. They get no rest. At least it feels like it. I know that's not quite true. 18th for de Villiers. Scored some points, but it was not much. That was not pretty. That race day condition of all the potential lead out guys did make them a lot weaker. I had my worries, I had my concerns that we might have to flip it and switch it. But then what were we left with? Guys who couldn't lead them out, right? There was no mistake. If we swap that order, it's not going to make much of a difference. We were swarmed by stronger riders, stronger teams. We're in Quebec, and the format here is the Richmond race, Richmond World Championship race from some years ago in the U.S. It's a tough race. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. A lot of undulation. There's so much climbing here at a high pace that it's really, really easy to see, well, what we've just seen, a split in the field, but it looks like it was brought on by a crash. The three riders off the front had a healthy gap. It's already down to 240. There's been a hard push to chase, and I don't understand why it is. I don't get it, but our entire team has given up on the season, even though the season's not over yet. Fitness-wise, the guys are good to go. Fatigue-wise, it's mostly dealt with, yet every single rider here does not want to be in the saddle. The expected race day condition was a -2 for all of them. It's really cold. It's very wet. It's like we're just above that freezing mark. And so with 54K to go, what the heck just happened with me here? Who was protecting a rider? It is back together. Let's go ahead and be the one to get water. I don't know why you would drop back. You're already literally at the back of what's left of the peloton, 83 riders. And making zero effort to try to go forward. He does have the water now. Should be trying to go forward and isn't really doing so. Let's hope he can get there before these guys go back and try to do it on their own. Okay, he's going to get there. Shimway, Haptum looked for a second like they were going to go back to do it, but they changed their mind. Mohira, come on, finish the job, man, before they go back on their own. There has been an attack in the meantime, so we're in place. Let's reset the effort here. It's 40K. I mean, there's a lot of racing left to do, but an entire team with zero motivation, with an expected -2, it's just frustrating. Thibaut Nice off the front, puncher only, puncher. It's a bit too far out for these guys to be going solo, but Mater, not for him. Lawrence, Hagita, Gregoire, all while we were waiting for water, that happened. It's a long ways out, 3 more times up the climb, plenty of firepower to chase, but there's only 43 or 126 or something. There's a lot of yo-yoing happening. It's important to hold position from now on, but Samuels gets a -5 draw. He's not carrying the fatigue. He's recovered. 8 chasing 3. They've got a 1.5-minute advantage. Okay, whoa. That was caused by Samuels. That gap opening up. 7 riders there pushing on. 22K to go. I think we're going to have to get our own pushing on when we get on the flat here. It's going to be the only way. There's too many guys up the road. And while there's chases, it just keeps kind of split apart. So we need to control. Do what we can to get as many points as we can. Bidia Messias, the most tired. Abdum, second most tired. We're not going for skill to start this thing out. O'Hara is pretty tired. Maybe more so than Haptum. And that's how we'll start this. And then Samuel's 4th in line. Are you kidding me? The leader, the easy choice outright leader. Clout, too weak of a rider, but looking stronger than the other options. Hanoke still looks decent. Shimway, though, strongest because he's only a -1. Not 99 territory, not for 18K with plenty of climbing 2 more times through the circuit here. Now 99, because the red bar is gone. 8 guys just ahead of us. Be nice to get them reeled back in, but that's still not the extent of it. We're going to really put our foot down once we hit the top. So Benny Messias just needs to get us that far. Yeah, there's now 11 off the front. This race getting ugly. Here's the last part of the climb. Right, and then left, and then on to Mohira. Not at 99 though. This is supposed to get delivered in 2 days, but we've had awful weather. Snow, ice, huge windstorms, blizzard conditions. Lost power multiple times. It's, you know, it's been fun. It's been fun. Alright, Mohira. Haptim struggling to keep up. What's going on with Aftercloak? There we go. Mohira at 99 from here. We've got to get forward and get back in contention. We've got 8K to go. These guys keep losing the wheel though. 4K, Samuel's taking over. Still have guys to lead out, but there's still 12 guys off the front. 3K. Oh! What the heck, Almeida? We had a gap and he just attacked us there. 1.7. Cloak's still in position, but who's behind him? Cloak's supposed to be sprinting here, but he just doesn't have the firepower. And then Hanouk Almeida blocked him too. Gregoire, Higuita, Only, Nice, Lawrence already won. Told you they had some firepower in that group. Here goes the top 10 as well. We're going to miss out on that. Shimway. My bad on the Shimway part. Hanouk's only just now coming past his teammates. This is points. 4 guys right there, all around 20 to 25. Or, 24 to 28. And 33 and 36. My, oh my. We just cannot catch a break. A lot of that was the red. Just terrible race day condition. A lot of that was some aggressive attacks by riders while we were waiting on water. I didn't know water was so difficult to get. Actually, it can be really difficult to get in this game. If you have not played much of Pro Cycling Manager, let me tell you, water can be a freaking nightmare. Be a real headache. Nearly the halfway point of the Montreal race. One sizable climb, but hitting it over and over again and not having much of a rest period in between will eventually disintegrate this field. 15 riders off the front with a 2.5-minute advantage. Chances are we're going to be part of the disintegration, as once again we had most of the team with negative expectations. Josh de Villiers, the only one who's on a fitness peak and has a +3 expectation, so he drew exactly that. He's 0. Where overall, as a team, we're looking at -18. But the expectation was -12. The reason why, low motivation. Reasons for that are numerous. 1, the weather. Guys are just not feeling up to the race. We're in Canada for 2 races in a row. It's been nasty. It's been wet. They're not a fan of that. That's a big part of it. It's not the only part of it, though. We are experiencing, at this point in the season, I've been using the AI race management, and we had a very, very, very busy part of the calendar. And then the calendar just went dead, with a couple exceptions. When does that happen? Mid-June. Why does that happen? National championships. We have one country that has one. We have a few guys involved. Nobody else participates. 60K to go. Let's go ahead and get water. Then, July hits, and you have the Tour de France. The World Tour has a blank calendar through there, because anyone who's a known quantity is there. They're at that. That Peloton is now considered the group at the front, and they have a 3-minute advantage. Is it growing? Are we not chasing this down? Okay. One rider attacked, joined the front group, and everybody gave up. We are going to send like 4 guys. We're going to send like 4 guys. 47 seconds ahead, so we are pulling away very quickly from the field. We got 3 guys left here. De Villiers is definitely the one we want to protect. Clote, follow him. De Villiers, will set you to an 82 to stay put. These guys now have a 1-minute advantage. They are closing down the group ahead. 42k to go is a long, long ways. We need these guys to work together if we're going to have any chance of catching it. But we're going to have to put in more pace than we're doing. In fact, the field is chasing now. They're going to let 16 riders ride off into the sunset, but they're not going to let the 4 of us ride off into the sunset. Calendar really backs off in July. There's hardly a race besides the Tour de France. August isn't much better with La Vuelta, but we didn't attend La Vuelta, and we're into the first part of September. So we've had a 2.5 month light period. We're catching those front 16 pretty fast, but the chasing 124 have decided that they are interested, and they're coming after us. We are holding a 1-minute gap with 34k to go. 2 times left on the climb. Let's start speeding it up a little bit. A, to stay ahead of the chase. B, to put a little more pressure on the front 16, which got back together once again. They're a minute 53 ahead. They are going after it. They're using kind of the last of their firepower. But there's 16 of them. But they've been away. All but one of them have been away throughout the day. Over 2.5 months, we've had very little racing unless you attended the Tour de France. If you attended the Tour de France, your calendar has looked way too busy. So Samuel's, low motivation because he's raced too much. Shimway, low motivation because he's raced too much. The other guys haven't raced enough. So motivation is low across the board. We're now looking at just 25 riders chasing, checking in on them as our 3 guys are in position. Benia Messias still working as a domestique. Go ahead and gel up. 1 rider has broken away from the group of 15. And we're just a minute and a half behind them now. 24k to go. Penultimate time on the climb. Pushing a little bit harder this time. Actually, let's push a lot harder this time. For this to do anything, we really don't want those guys to regain contact. And they've pulled away at the front. They had something in reserve. Hello, hello. Ah, you guys were... They were right there. They were right there. We kept him out of it because if the move didn't work, he was our best chance at doing something today. It still is. 96, and we're struggling to keep up, huh? Front group has not been caught. Still have an advantage. No idea how they're able to keep pushing. We were going 92 and making no progress. Some of that's the power of having 16 guys. We are not in a position to really succeed anymore. There's no point trying to be punchy now. Our punchy guy is behind us. And now we've got 3 guys chasing and we got dropped, and gosh, we're having quite the run of form here, aren't we? Okay, De Villiers, you're going to get led out by... There's like 30-something riders ahead of us, isn't there? This is ridiculous. We've gotten absolutely hammered in these 3 races. Ishimway's done 6k to go. That's the last hill. Too late for a gel. Not that it's going to matter. The finish is already happening. We still have more than 2k to go. Pidcock takes the win. Well, I can't succeed all the time. It was an ugly mess. That was an ugly mess. We attacked. Looked like it might work for a little bit. But the field was resigned to let the breakaway take the win. That was the big problem there. And then you get a slender group chasing after we committed most of our attack power into putting 4 guys off the front, chasing it down. And we made progress. We were gaining on them. And then the field decided they were interested again. And then they wasted what power we had, which left us with our 1 guy and a little bit of lead out power, but not much. But then the guys who were there get dropped, even though we were set to a 99. On a 99, still had power, and we get dropped. So then by time our 1 guy with the firepower left, who's not in that contact group, because that all happened while we distracted with those guys, then they contact with our other guys, and that's all we managed to get. 30th, 32nd, 36th. Sometimes races go poorly. Sometimes your average riders get found to be average. We've really experienced that here. But going right back to Giro this year, what happened when we didn't have strong race day condition? Oh, we got hammered. What happened when we had good race day condition? We won 2 stages at the Tour. We wore yellow for quite a few days. We won the King of the Mountains. Preparation is massive, at least on this difficulty. Play on easy, we're winning this race, even with minuses. At least with the experience that I have in the game. It's too easy at that point. But normal difficulty, it's challenging for people just starting out on this game. Once you've played it a while and you understand the mechanics, especially know the rules and how it works, when to go, how to use your team to your benefit, game gets much easier. But stepping up to the hardest difficulty, everything's got to be perfect because of the deficits, especially as we get later and later and later into a series. Average rider is now great, and the great rider is now amazing. We don't have guys that are 85s, but we have loads of riders that are 80, 81, 82, 83 base, and then add a 4 on top of it. And we still have guys that are a 69, 70, 78. That was our leader today with a 64 acceleration. That was all we can muster. And he had no additional support other than a shimway being okay. I did not play these 3 races terribly well. You don't need to tell me in the comments what I did horribly wrong, because I didn't do anything horribly wrong. We had really bad race day condition. Could I have played it differently? Of course. Should I have attacked with those 4 guys? In hindsight, one would say no, of course not. Because 4 guys from that break survived. The rest were caught. And that attack group, and when that all happened and how that transpired, and didn't look good. 1 guy attacked and joined a group that had a few strong riders in it. But we are a Continental Pro team in a World Tour race. On paper, we had no business being the ones chasing that down. And that's something we try to take advantage of. On paper, our team is incredibly weak. We're at the bottom end of Continental Pro. We just happen to outperform our position. So we're not the team that should be chasing those guys down. The reality of the situation was the field gave up. And if I don't attack, those 16 riders take positions 1 through 16 by 10 minutes. And then we're fighting for 17. Now, in the end, could that have amounted to more points than what we ended up getting? In all likelihood, yes. But at the time, a field uncommitted to a ride who let a rider bridge that gap decided that we weren't good enough. Now, could I have attacked with 1 and maybe bridge that gap? Well, there's another... We don't know. They let 1 guy go. Why wouldn't they not let a 2nd or a 3rd or a 4th? Right? They were resigned to let the breakaway win. They changed their mind. And in changing their mind, we got the race back on. 4 of those riders held on. The others dropped back, got into the mix. Some were overtaken, some were not. Losing contact with that group when we were going to 99 and trying to help another rider for a split second. I don't know. There's so many variables, so many what ifs. None of the scenarios looked good for us, especially when in 2 races we had 1 rider with a positive race day condition, and in 3 races we had 3 riders with a positive race day condition. It's hard to compete at this level with that, with our level of rider. very, very below average compared to those around us. Tough to compete. I know that there's things that I might have been able to do better, differently, to improve our position. But guaranteed, we weren't winning any of those races. Could we have had some top 10s had we played it differently? Probably. But all season long, the reason why we're 5th in the rankings is because we did get top 10, top 5, top 3 over and over and over again. But what do we have now? We have a team that's either too tired from too many races, low motivation, the fatigue part we've taken care of, but low motivation because they've raced too much or haven't raced enough. AI has not balanced the calendar particularly well. Next year, I think I need to handle it. I think I need to control who's going to race when all season long. That's a lot of work. I didn't expect us to have a full World Tour calendar this year, and we've had all but 3 races, 1 by choice. Only 2 races that we didn't get an invite to. Next season, we should expect to get all but a couple races. That'll play out a bit different. Anyway, that is going to do it for this episode. Sorry that we didn't perform at a level many of you come to expect, but difficult days exist for every team, and today was one of those days for this team. I'm the Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.